We call this the Big Red. This is late 1950s, and this is how the kit was. It's a channel 32 5-window. It's just iconic what they did in a model kit.
And that clear roof.
Yeah, the clear roof, the decals with the flames. And it's just an amazing piece to look at.
I'm here at the Connecticut Street Rod Association Model Car Show. And I'm here with Ron SanGiovanni, the association's president. Ron has amassed a collection that we can all look at for hours. Each one of these cars has a story. Ron, most of these cars you purchased as vintage builds.
That's correct, yeah. They're items that I would have loved to have as a kid in the 60s, but number one, I didn't have the money. And number two, I really didn't realize that this really existed. I knew of car models, but not to this magnitude. So, as an adult, as years went on, I made a decision to get into drag car models and hot rod models, the things that I have a passion for and always had as a kid as I grew older.
When you first started to get into this, you began building as a kid growing up?
To a degree, yes. Anything that I had as a kid were hand-me-down car model kits. And there wasn't any one that I could really say piqued my interest. I knew of AMT because I had some of the AMT kits, which were hand-me-downs. I do remember doing a 50 Ford, but other than that, it was just what I found, what I could get, and if I had that 5 or 10 cents for the tube of glue, I would do it. At the same time, I had other interests. I grew up in New Haven where American Flyer trains were built, and I got into that rabbit hole, so to say, with trains in the basement. So it was either the plastic kits or the trains in the basement, to the best that I could do with no money.
Yeah, but you've done very well in trains and in plastic, as well as full-scale cars.
Yeah, I've definitely stayed busy.
You built these guys.
Well, right? The three in front of us, the 32 Skidoo, the trailer, and the custom pickup truck. There was, many years ago, a collector seller out of Pennsylvania who had mentioned to me that there was a few cases of old Aurora model box kits found at a warehouse that fell behind shelving or whatever, and what it turned out to be was the custom pickup, the 32 Skidoo, and the trailer. So there was the three kits. I was intrigued with the idea, so if you look at Aurora's custom pickup truck, you're going to see the shadow on that one little kit of the 32 Skidoo on the trailer, on their box art, which Aurora's box art it's an outstanding part of our early history. Looking at the box art, it's just priceless. But there it was, the sedan and the trailer, and he had all of those in the boxes new. So I bought two of each, I built the models, and I have them unbuilt. So realistically, what you will see on the table, those are three I built in the modern era. Everything else I would have found as a collectible. I did what restoring I could, but I left it as a glue bomb, we could say, as I may have done it as a kid, but stuff that I would have loved to have as a kid. So here's items that to a degree I didn't really know about, and then once I got into this, I understood that there was so much more in our history that I was just amazed.
So part of your learning was studying hot rods, whether it be in scale or in magazines?
Overall, in the 60s, whatever hot rod or rod and custom or Carcraft magazine I may have come across, and by coming across, I mean if I was in grade school or high school, and the teacher at the time from the previous class took somebody's car magazine and threw it away in the trash, I would scoop it up and take it home. And I learned a lot in the 60s.
That's recycling.
Yes, it was. Now that you mention it, I didn't know I was even doing that back in the 60s. It really was, yeah.
You told me an interesting story, and something I did not know. There was another iteration of that car.
From what I've been told, the 32 Skidoo started life originally as a hot-rodded deuce sedan, eventually morphed into the little coffin. That's what I've been told. Now there is a clone of the 32 Skidoo being built, which would be the prior history of what would become the little coffin in full scale. So
You have a special group here. Can you tell us about those?
My oldest brother had the Revell Highway Pioneers, and I always remembered them when I was at home. Now, the Highway Pioneers he had were very early antique cars, very, very primitive. But what I didn't realize until I got into this rabbit hole, that these Roadsters and this three-window coupe were also Highway Pioneer kits in 1954. Now, if we look at antique restorations and restoring of old cars, the antique group hates us hot rodders for butchering old Fords. In 1954, there were model kits of hot rods. This model of a Deuce Roadster, which I believe is an acetate type body, is a mid-1950s hot rod model kit. I was amazed when I discovered them. This car here, this coupe, supposedly at roundy-round tracks, it was a plastic kit you could have bought at the concession stand and end up building a hot rod modified coupe that you saw racing that night.
Sure, you could build it and paint it up for your favorite driver.
I did not know what I just told you about this until today. Someone mentioned to me that story, and if that is factual, that's what this is. And it's pretty well detailed for its era, actually.
It really is. And the patina on these is great. You know they've been displayed. You know they've been part of someone's collection.
I would have loved to have known who actually built them. If you look at 1950s to today, those individuals may no longer be with us, but it's such a cool part of, I'm deep into hot rod history and drag history, and this is just amazing part of it.
The color on that is incredible.
On this here, this was the series, the 49ers series. That meant 49 cents. So I enjoy hot rod and drag cars. And when I saw that, once again, as a kid, I never saw it, but I was able to get one that was built up. It's a front engine dragster, 49 cents, but it's just a cool piece that did represent a 60s era drag car for a whole 49 cents.
49 cents and a great color combination.
Yeah.
It's so wild.
There was the box art besides. In the Aurora's era of 1/32nd scale, a lot of these are the Aurora kits from that era, from that little box art era. You get a Model A Phaeton with what appears to be a Thunderbird top on it. Yeah. And this was in the kit. And the box art was just priceless. So if you looked at the box art alone, it was enough to draw you in. But the box art is really beautiful stuff from that era.
Yeah, and those were all paintings.
It was artwork that someone did. If you set, like in my collection, I have all the end flaps, all the boxes lined up, and you look at that end flap, and no two are the same. I'd mentioned there's a Chevrolet Roadster hot rod with a young couple in it, all dressed up, maybe going to a prom, and it's actually raining. But that's what you did. There's another one of a C-cab truck. A motorcycle police officer has pulled over this truck with like a picket farm fence look at the background, and I believe the motorcycle cop might have his boot up on the tire, and you look at it and he may be writing a ticket. Yeah. But the box art was just so cool, and then you had the model inside that you built, like I did with the 32 Skidoo. The early Auroras were really, really wild little kits. And for me, because I enjoy drag cars, you have Long John. You know, that was so iconic in the era of drag racing, the actual car that this was modeled from. So, in no doubt, because we don't see the carburetors, there would have been a blower in the nose, front drive blower. But to just have one of these as a kid, and who did it? Because I did not. It's just incredible.
You know, whoever built that did a good job with the decals.
They did a wonderful job. These here, these were the monogram. I believe it was monogram. And you could have the dragster, or you could do the comp coupe. And they had different chassis. So you have the Chevy, you have the Hemi, Tony and Nancy's 22 Junior. All of that in our era as a kid, the possibilities were amazing, absolutely amazing.
For me, this is really how I learned about cars. The models help me understand, well, yeah, it could be a comp coupe, could be a dragster, and the way that those configurations worked out.
This one here with twin engines, imagine as a kid building that with twin engines and thinking, that's a monster to have even considered building such a thing. But build a kit with 2 engines in the 1960s.
At least in full scale, to figure that out is one thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then as a kid, I was always like, well, wait, how do they connect the engine? Are there 2 drive shafts? How does that work? And I was always like looking in there going, wow, how did they do it? And that's how I learned.
And actually, I've asked that as an adult. What happened was the ring gears were intertwined. The ring gears touched each other. And then this particular one, the left engine, now went to the rear axle, the ring and pinion, which was now offset. Okay. And that's how it worked. Absolutely no chain or anything. It was ring gears, I was told. You intertwined them, and there you go.
Simple enough. I guess it worked. I mean, someone must have said, hey, I've got an idea, let's try it.
Yeah. Or one of those, hold my beer, I'm going to watch this.